Hi there, and welcome to another typical tea relaxing long play. Today, in the blink of an eye, things go from bad to worse. But did we see what we thought we saw, or was it all just a bad dream? Without further ado, grab a drink, make yourself comfortable, and relax alongside me in Manor Lords. The harvest is well underway. We've just got 17 left in that field, 18 in that one. We've plenty of workers in the farmhouse. Let's speed time along a little ways. We've already got workers in the windmill ready to turn all of our lovely grain into flour once it's ready. And we'll keep an eye on the salt mines, not that they've been much use to us thus far. We're done with the berry bush, so we don't need anyone in the forager's hut because that is shrinking now and it's already empty. And we've just finished construction of our brewery in the capital. So hopefully we'll be able to make use of the barley that we're harvesting down in the fields here. And that barley will make into malt. Let's set up on the farmhouses here a working area, because we've got them at the moment working on the top fields, which isn't much use to us whatsoever. So we'll just set up a work area for both of the farms down here at the bottom, and then we'll whiz on up to the top as well, and we'll set a work area for this farmhouse here, so that again we don't have people from this farmhouse going and working on the lower fields. Unfortunately, we've got some rain coming in during the harvest, which is less than ideal. Hopefully no crops are damaged. Let's head on down to Depart. Looks like things are going pretty well down here in terms of the harvest. And food has shot way up since we've got the harvest underway. I assume our windmill is still active. No, it isn't actually. Okay, so obviously we're getting that from some other sources. We've got enough fish in at the last moment, 49 carp. We've also got some vegetables coming in as well. Now, how much wheat? We've still got wheat to be made and rice to be made into grains. Let's get a worker at the windmill. But what actually really low is on fuel. So how are we doing in terms of, we've got 19 firewood but no charcoal. Let's get an additional worker down at the charcoal kiln. And let's free up some workers from other regions so that they can help get some firewood and fuel ready. So actually we'll take out the windmill work for the time being, and it would probably be a good idea even, not an idea, to construct some woodcutters lodges so that we have another source of firewood that is a little bit closer to what is going to be our new forestry district. So let's get a couple of woodcutters lodges up down here, and we're going to set those to a higher priority than the work we currently have going on down at New Boatlandia. We're also going to want, now I think about it, a number of stables here. We'll put them on the main road, because we're going to need stables to house all the oxen that are going to work pulling the logs and getting everything set up ready for us. And we're really starting to run out of fuel here. So how are we doing? Looks like we're getting the ploughing done in the fields. I don't really want to take anyone off the job of farming. Let's free up some workers from the logging camp. We're going to set that woodcutter's lodge to the highest priority, and we're going to employ 2 people in that woodcutter's lodge, and we're going to get another person working the charcoal kiln, and hopefully we can head this problem off before it becomes too much of an issue. And just like that, we've got a claim on Depart, and again actually coming from Grethlein. That's the second time she's pushed a claim on us. Perhaps she shall have to be the first to fall to our wrath. Well, we're obviously going to need to fight that. And where's the battle taking place? Pretty much on the borders of New Boatlandia within Depart. Okay, so let's get on and rally our troops. We now sport 4 full banners from the capital. We'll assemble those troops down there, and then we'll probably look to engage the enemy on the flats of Boatlandia. And where are the enemy? Okay, the enemy are marching in. It's the Brotherhood of the Forest. I think that's made up of 3 units, is it not? there another unit of archers, or is that it? That may be it, actually. Okay, if that's all we have to deal with, it won't be too much of an issue, although we definitely are going to lose some men to the archers, which is frustrating. And they're coming in from a higher ground, and we'll be heading down into Deep Heart before travelling across, I would have thought. I'd imagine a path down here. So actually, we may be able to head them off on the slopes here. So let's array our forces. We'll have our foot soldiers and archers behind. We'll assemble down here, and then worst comes to worst, we'll attack down through Deep Heart. But that doesn't solve the problem we've got with fuel in Deep Heart. But we've got plenty of woodcutters on the job. Just make sure that's not an additional unit. No, it's just those two still, so that's absolutely fine. And we should probably also make sure that we're not selling any of our firewood with our trading post, because that would certainly be hampering our efforts to build up some supplies for winter. No, we've not got any trading either. If we have to, we'll buy in some charcoal, but I don't think it's going to be necessary. Okay, and they've actually charged straight in with the intent to pillage, which I was not expecting. Usually they go straight to the site of the battle, and actually, what are you doing all the way over here? We've not got here in time to prevent damage from being done. So let's march down into our village. We'll have to do the best that we can. And we'll array our archers back here as well. And we won't set them to run, these ones, because we don't want to wound them by the time they get here. And this is not a good thing to happen when we're already low on resources. And I do believe all of our goods are stored at the moment in this storehouse and granary. And unfortunately it looks like we may have the first signs of fire being set in our homes. Let's get ready with shield walls. And I think we're going to need to form up where we are. Let's set our archers to shoot at will. Hopefully the appearance of our troops will keep them from pillaging and looting. And we need to be engaging the enemy archers as soon as we possibly can. We'll line up our shield walls. Looks like we have got a few pillagers moving in. We don't appear to have had anything set fire to. Okay. We're going to take an aggressive stance. And we're going to push in straight away. And we'll use our archers to continue harrying the enemy archers who seem scattered. We've not lost anyone yet, and long may that continue. It's the enemy archers that I'm more worried about than anything else. Don't suspect we'll lose any of our infantrymen against this rabble. They're routed, so we need to push straight in on the enemy archers. We don't want them getting away. So we'll set them to pursue. And we'll disband the shield walls. There's no use or no need to use them against archers. Where is this unit of archers? All the way back here. They're doing odd things. Looks like they're trying to pull back their archers. I'm going to deploy these archers to the scene of the engagement where it was meant to be happening, just to make sure we do claim that. And we're going to continue harrying the enemy archers with our troops and chase them back out of the village. And we're going to need to employ the corpse pit once again. Actually, I've still have 2 people employed there. It's good to know. At this rate, we're going to be chasing out the Brotherhood all the way. Can't seriously still be firing at this range. No. Let's get them to head over that way. Thing is, if they can maintain distance on us, they can move faster than our spearmen. Ah, here we go. Okay, we're going to be at a disadvantage now. They've run up a hill and they've turned around to fight. So we're going to assemble some hasty shield walls. Looks like they decided to back off again. And we'll continue advancing, marching up the hill. And what we might do is hold position and wait for our archers to come and support. Meanwhile, we'll keep moving this division into the contended area. We are vulnerable here. They decide to turn around and start firing on us, which is what they've done. Okay. So they brought in reinforcements. 2 units of archers from Tecware and 3 units of sword from Deepart, or above Deepart rather. So we will struggle to outmatch all of them. Let's pull our men back and use our archers to support. And we'll have to hold off with this unit here and see who we can hire in. No mercenaries. So the enemy has sneakily hired all of the available mercenaries. Can we... How many of our retinue can we get in here? 50 per man. So with 600, we're only going to get 12 men. That's not going to be enough, not a useful use of our coin. So we're going to have to wait for next month to tick over. We're in October at the moment. Only October 12th, so it's going to be a little while before more mercenaries become available. Which is not a good thing. And see if we can't engage these archers at range. And we're going to have to keep our forces together because we're in danger of being split up here across multiple fronts. This has turned into quite the eventful end to this year for us. We were planning on doing a nice bit of farming, getting new Boatlandia set up, making sure we had enough fuel for the winter in Deepart, and it's taken a rather vicious turn. Are we able to raise an additional banner of spear militia? Yeah, we can, but it only has 2 men in it. We just do not have enough available, so people-wise. We're going to have to... We don't have enough weapons at Deepart. We don't have any weapons in Deepart, so we can't raise any banners from there. How are we doing here? Okay, I think we're going to have to slowly push towards the archers with our infantry, even though it's uphill, and continue returning fire with the unit of archers that we have here. Those swords appear to be heading straight down for the contested area. And these archers are just holding station. I think we're going to have to come and bring them in support down here, so that we have all our forces in one position. And once we've taken out these archers here, we'll raid them here, we'll start heading towards the conflict zone. And we may well be outnumbered when we get there. And we'll just have to wait and see how we go. We've lost our first man from the spears. Fighting uphill against arrows is no easy task. They're broken. Okay. Let's bring our men back down. And let's bring our archers in with them. So we have all our forces in one place at least. We have 2 units of archers here. If they decide to pillage, there's nothing we can do about it, unfortunately. At this point, we've just got to wait and hope that we can hire in some mercenaries at the turn of the month and that they get here in time to do some good. We're in very real danger of losing all of our forces here. 3 units of light mercenary infantry who are completely rested against our unarmoured light spearmen. Spear militia is going to be a tricky fight to say the least. We do have 2 units of archers, but the enemy has also hired 2 units of archers and they're heading in from over here, from the north. And we have this sword from the south, and we're sandwiched right in between. It's not like we can choose to take one on before the other. We'll probably have to take them all on together. We may just have to fight delaying tactics until we can hire in reinforcements. We'll try and rest our men in the meantime. There isn't any favourable terrain to be had here really, it's pretty flat. If we had a keep, then we could use that, and this is roughly where we were thinking of putting one. But unfortunately we haven't got that far yet. I'm starting to wish we'd built up a manor so we had a retinue available to us, but again we didn't quite get around to doing that either. So let's speed time along a little bit. Hopefully we take care of the fuel issue. With the one free worker we have here working on an additional woodcutter's lodge. I think the issue is probably that these woodcutters are walking quite a long way to get to the trees. And the charcoal kiln probably doesn't have enough firewood to be effective. That's the issue at the moment. But that's well under construction. Right, our forces have met up. So we'll get them to rest up so they're at least well rested for the coming conflict. We have 71 days remaining. So hopefully that gives us plenty enough time to hire in additional help. And this goes to show that we're probably going to want to start getting going as soon as we have, so long as we keep Depart and don't lose it, that is. As soon as we have New Boatlandia operational, we're going to need to be getting iron out of the ground at a rate of knots and getting those armories and forges ready so that we can start forging the materials and the weapons we need to form larger militias and get our retinues together and get them well equipped. Right, so how are we getting on with the farms? Yeah, we're still well underway with the ploughing. We've got this woodcutter's lodge now active, so I'm going to take everyone from this except for one. I'm going to put the other 3 into here. We'll take the last one as well actually. And hopefully that woodcutter's lodge there can start providing the wood we need to get this charcoal kiln fully operational. So we're coming towards the end of the month. And unfortunately they have burned New Boatlandia to the ground. It had barely begun construction and it's already been razed. A sad sight, but at least there's no one living there. So they've split their forces. They've infantry on both sides of the river and they've their archers there. I don't really want to get caught here. I think we're going to... but if we pull any further back, we risk losing the heart of Depart. I think we are going to have to pull back though. Let's array our spears on the hillside and our archers above them. We daren't engage in a frontal battle with the enemy while our troops aren't rested and while we're outnumbered. That is, if they continue to push. It looks like they are. Straight down the road. Our stonemasons are burning. No, we can't do it. We can't leave the village to this fate. We're going to turn around here and let them come no further. We're going to deploy our archers here. We'll deploy our spears here. Got to take out this raiding party. Presumably I've moved into the forest area here. If you're enjoying the video and have the time, it would warm my tea if you could pop me a like, drop a comment with feedback, or subscribe. But regardless, thank you for joining me, and know you're appreciated. There's 3 units here. They may have turned around after a light bit of pillaging. Let's take another look at the map in general. At least this gives time for us to rest our troops a little more than they would otherwise have been rested. November can't come soon enough. With November comes the opportunity to hire in men with which to fight. I was a bit worried then that we had a unit of spear militia moving towards the capital, but we look to be free from that danger, at least for the time being. Well, this has certainly been a more eventful battle than we've had in previous times. It looks like the archers have come away from the infantry, and we really have to take advantage of that. So we're going to push in our infantry, and we're going to focus one of our archer groups onto each of theirs, and hopefully that'll hold their attention as our infantry close the ground. We've got to get in there quickly or they're going to run away. And there we have it. We're going to shield wall up, and we've took bad losses with that unit. We're going to double up our archers on these here to give support to our battered unit of spears. And they're falling quickly. We'll set them to give ground. They should be outclassing these archers, but it doesn't look like it's going well. I'll pull these men back in the hope that we can regroup, form a shield wall. The spearmen are faring better over here. And disaster. The infantry have arrived. We stand a very real chance of losing our entire military here. While we've been engaged in the archers, we haven't managed to get rid of them before the enemy have come in. What can we hire in? Well, let's start by disbanding this useless unit here. And all we can get are the wayward sons. Or even willed wand. Well, we need them. We'll sign the contract. And we'll start marching them as they arrive. It appears that the AI fired mercenaries at exactly the same time, which is why there's only one band available. So our reinforcements are immediately caught in combat and outflanked and surrounded on their own. Our men don't stand a chance. The enemy have twice our number. And unfortunately, defeat is looking all but inevitable. We were just getting a wonderful foothold in Deep Heart, and it looks like we've been taught a valuable lesson about how dangerous the AI can be when it's got access to mercenaries. And I think next time, as we see more mercenary infantry coming in from all sides, we'll be more wary about maybe hiring infantry as soon as a war is declared, so we have them for us and not for the enemy, and pushing more to get a strong military setup. And we've lost both units of spear. That just leaves our archers down here, and we'll keep a keen eye on mercenaries available, but there aren't going to be any available for some time yet. And Deep Heart is littered with our dead. We've lost so many men. Okay, we're going to have to unassign a family member from the farmhouse. And we'll do what we can with these archers. It might even be a good idea to run away. But we can't. We don't have the stamina left, so we're going to lose both units of our archers as well. We've won over here, but at a cost. We'll start marching them towards the zone of conflict, but with additional enemy reinforcements arriving, I don't think it's going to do anything. So sadly, in an attempt to defend Deep Heart, well over 100 fighting men from the capital will have perished by the time this battle has concluded. It's going to take a long time just to rebuild our military we've lost here in our homeland of the capital, let alone build a force up with which we can retake Deep Heart and the hopes and dreams of New Boatlandia. We do have other claimed regions, but we don't have good access to iron in them, so we're just going to have to keep growing the economy in the capital and start selling charcoal, start selling wooden products, everything we can to build up a stronger and more resilient military here. We've also been gathering timber, and we're going to need to step that up so we can start building a fortified manor up here. We can see practically the entire town is in mourning. Everyone has lost someone. Our population here is down to 78. We had about 200 people here before the conflict started in Deep Heart. I'm afraid that we have lost the last of our men, and Deep Heart is aflame. It may even be that if they torch the granary and the storehouse, Deep Heart is completely unrecoverable. Is it possible? To negotiate. Can we bribe them? To stop this conflict before it goes too far. Oh. Peace declared. Well, it didn't actually cost us anything to do that. I wish we'd tried that sooner. Deep Heart burns. And tragically, our granary has burned. That's going to make this a very difficult winter. Fortunately, it looks like the wheat had yet to be turned to grain, and the... Did we just watch 150 people die? As it turns out, the game was as shocked as I was, as just as we sue for peace and the reality of what's happened starts to settle in, the game crashed. When I load back into the latest save, The war has only just begun. We take advantage of the situation and sue for peace immediately. The war that claimed so many lives was nothing more than a bad dream, a wake-up call to tell us that we are not as secure as we might like to think. We rejoin past typical as we finish setting out our new manor's walls and aim towards developing new Boatlandia and strengthening our military. Okay, so now we've done that, let's go over to the manor. Now I've just been playing with the positions of everything here, so what I've done is, we might need to change the wall around this side slightly. So let's grab a wall and gate tool and bring this across here and connect into this tower here. But last, we might need to come inbound slightly, like so, and connect onto here. And that's giving us a wall all the way around the perimeter. We've then got a choke point that enemies are going to be forced into, coming towards the manor. And we've got multiple towers and hopefully walls we can build up eventually into stone. And it's a defensible location. So we'll close that, we can see the materials we need to build it, and that's what we're working to here in the capital. And that's why it's important to get the timber industry up and running, because that's going to supply us with the timber we need to build the initial palisades, and then the finances we need to bring in stone and other materials we're going to need to build up those defences. Let's speed along time a little bit. We've got those hitching posts being constructed down there, and we've got our farmers working on sowing, making the most of the weather while it's okay. Have we done anything in terms of getting ale? We do, we have 18 ale brewed. We've got 31 barley still to be made into malt, so there's more to come. And with that in mind, we've got our first tavern down here. Let's upgrade that to a large tavern. And then we're going to do that over here. We're going to put down another tavern to supply this half of the town. And I might do actually. We've got one way over here. We'll put one down here. Hopefully that'll supply this area. And that'll also supply the future town we're planning on building down here. So pop that there and put a road across. Yeah, we're getting pretty full on planks, but there's still more space we can be putting them, so it's not the end of the world for the moment. I think we're going to be able to set enough aside that we can get the construction going on the manor. And hopefully we'll also soon be producing some gambesons. So we'll set you to produce gambesons as we make ale, and hopefully we get a few more clothes set up as well. We've got malt coming in from the barley, we've got some linen, and we're going to be making more from the flax that we have. It might be worth getting an additional worker down at the weaver's workshop for the time being. And are we done with this farmhouse? No, we're still ploughing in the linen fields, so that's fine. Down in D part, as the tax goes up, you can see we've comfortably seen off the issue we were having with fuel. Let's go down and work in the charcoal kiln, because actually we are producing plenty enough charcoal. The bottleneck is the firewood. And we're having some construction projects to go together here. We've got some repairs that need doing here, and they've been underway. Let's upgrade these to stables from hitching posts. And we'll order an ox in there as well while we're at it. And then over here, we need to reconstruct the storehouse. We've got the granary under construction as well. And we've still got iron coming in. With 43, so the bottleneck is iron slabs. So although it's only temporary, what we might do is get an additional worker at the forge, the bloomery over here, so we can produce more iron. And we want to be putting together, let's reduce the limit to 50. We want 50 tools at any one time. And that's going to help us build up iron a little bit quicker once we've reached that 50 tool limit, so that we can start using it to produce weapons instead. Now let's check there's no one doing jobs we don't need, so we're probably all done with everything we can do at the farm for the minute. So we'll free up that workforce. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to leave that entire workforce for construction, because there's quite a lot that needs to be put together over in New Boatlandia. We are going to get 2 families working at the logging camp though, because we are still going to need to be bringing in timber. We haven't got any of our orchards planted. Finance has somewhat stagnated. So we do have the quarry, and that's producing plenty of rubble stone. And we're also producing rough stone. But let's start turning that rough stone. Let's get a couple of workers in the stonemason station. And we're going to start producing dress stone. We'll also get another worker out of that quarry. And then we're going to go over to the trading post. And as much as I'd like to keep dress stone so that we can build a really defensible manor, I think we're a little ways away from that, and the money is more important at the moment. So we're going to export everything over 50 dressed stone. At least then we have a small stockpile we might be able to use for upgrading other buildings. The most important thing is getting houses built over here, so we've got space for people to move in, immigration, start filling up depot, and that's going to kickstart our production in terms of the iron mines and moving our production of metal over here. And this is also where we'll build our various industries related to creating weaponry. So that'll be some of the specializations of the houses here. We may even, having said that, we may specialize the houses here with tool production. They're already level 2, and they're just single plot dwellings, whereas over there in New Boatlandia we're going to have multi-plot residencies, and we don't want to be taking up more families than we need to. And then those families that are spare can be used at the mines over here when we get our deep iron mines set up and running. Hopefully we don't have the same problems with those mines that we've had with our salt mines in the capital, but if we do, then we'll mine what we can, and the rest we'll have to buy in through sales of the stone that we produce at the quarries. As we can see, workers hard at work, cutting the stone, ready for it to be dressed, so that we can sell that on the open market and start making a decent profit. We need to get a worker at the windmill so we can turn all that grain we have into flour. And if we head up to the capital, we've got the new storehouse and granary down here. We have the small tavern under construction. We've upgraded the storehouse and granary here to supply these houses, where we still have some available living spaces. And with any luck, we've started to equip some of our men with gambesons. Yep, there's a couple going out. Not many, for sure. And you can see we did take losses in the conflicts we've had. But we've almost filled with the additional people we've had move in, that additional banner of spear. So we very nearly have 3 banners of spear and 2 banners of archers. They are a little bit depleted at the moment, but they will increase over time. Let's check what we need for upgrading the manor. So we're okay for planks and timber. We just need small stones. Rubble stone, rather. We'll set up a pack station to transport that at some point, or we might even just, we've got the money. We'll go to the trading post and we'll set to import, and we want to have 20 around at any given time. And we could really do with some additional workers. We're done obviously at the farms, so we can free up those men to go and work elsewhere. And let's go over to the saw pit. Let's get a second saw pit operational. And we want to have 250 planks at any given time now. We want a surplus of 80 timber as well. And let's get additional workers down at the logging camps, so we can keep up with that demand. And let's get a well down here. We haven't already put one down, we have. So let's get some burgish plots down here so that we can start making more progress on our new development down here, because we're going to need workers to work the logging camps. So let's see how many we can fit in here. That looks perfect to me. We might even set these up for double dwellings, because we're not going to be using these for specializations. So that's giving us plenty of living space for the amount of space that it's taking up. Then we might even, I wonder if we can fit some houses in here. Yeah, so they're not going to have space to work in, but they are going to be expandable in terms of living space. So we'll pop a couple there, and let's do the same on this side. And actually these look like we are going to have some space for extensions at the back. And if we make those a little smaller, we've got a combination of the two. Okay, we'll put those there. So that's going to give us lots of additional living space for us to expand the capital. And over at this tavern here, once construction is complete there, we'll set them to have an overstock, and we'll get someone employed so that we can start moving towards level 3 burgish plots. And hopefully garments start to be taken care of. You can see we are making clothes, they're ticking in and out of stock. So it might just be that we need to wait until we've got a few more sheep. So we produced 87 in the last year, so it's definitely going up. And we've only got 15% productivity. They're spending all their time with their extensions. So let's unhire and rehire. And we'll rehire 2 instead of 1. And hopefully that helps make a difference in terms of the amount of wool we produce. And we've started to fill up this pasture here, but it's quite a long time until that's filled. So we're okay at the moment for pasture space. And just as soon as some of these houses are settled, we'll get some of the local residents to work the storehouse and the granary down here. Down in D part, it looks like construction is finally swinging along. We've got people moving in down here. So I'm going to set these residents to work the granary here straight away. And we're going to upgrade that granary as well. And just as soon as we have a second family here, we'll get them working the storehouse. It's imperative we get New Boatlandia up and running as soon as possible for the reasons we've already discussed. Let's set the church to low priority so we can work on the other things around it first. Doesn't look like our neighbours have grown at all, but they're obviously selling enough goods that they're becoming a bit of a force on the market in terms of who they can hire in. What mercenaries do we currently have available? Everyone. So we'll have to move quickly if war is declared again. We do have a slightly stronger military than we did before, but to be honest, it's pretty marginal. So we're making a little bit more money at D part, but we have yet to start selling any dressed stone. Because we've only just ticked over the surplus, so from now on it should start going out as an export. Food and fuel look good, and we've still got plenty of grains being milled. I'm reluctant to put an additional worker in there though, because we have enough food for the time being, so they can make that work over time, and that keeps additional families available for construction down here in New Boatlandia. And we'll get an ox ordered for this hitching post and upgrade it to a stable. Now, given what we've experienced, I'm quite hesitant to expand into one of the other regions. That fever dream nightmare we had, which, was rather detrimental to the health of our population, halving the inhabitants of the capital in the process of the war that never happened, but happened in our dreams, our nightmares. We know that it's going to be pretty difficult to defend another region. I think we really need to get Deep Heart up on its feet and able to defend itself as soon as possible. And once we've got New Boatlandia set up, that might be the time that we look at building a manor over here, and perhaps right next door to New Boatlandia, with some defendable structures and walls that we can use to hold off an attack if it is indeed claimed again by one of our adversaries. And it would be good at some point as well to start pushing back at those who have been attacking us, because if we take them out, they can't hire anyone. But for the time being, let's keep working on our own domestic improvements and keep watching people move into Deep Heart. Apparently they're a little bit cold. That might be because we don't have anyone working at the storehouse yet, but we've had a family move in here. So we're going to set them to work at the storehouse, which will then upgrade. Let's set these to the highest priority, so we get them constructed as soon as possible. We need to repair that burgage block, which actually was burned down by the looks while it was still under construction. Let's lower the priority of that tavern a little bit there. How are we doing for iron production here now? So we've got a few slabs left over, we've got 47 iron ore, and we're up to the 50 tools. Let's specialise the first one of these down here, and we're going to get a blacksmith's workshop constructed. And how are we doing for timber? We're doing pretty good for planks. We're also going to construct a joiner's workshop. And it does take 2 out of our construction workforce, which isn't ideal. But I think it's important that we get a military production chain set up as soon as possible. And that's what these two are going to provide us with. We're going to start producing small arms, and we're going to start producing small shields, so that we can raise the first of our units on Deep Heart itself. And that'll put us up to 6 banners of troops, which is certainly going to go a long way to fighting any future want-to-be kings. Swinging up to the capital, let's see how we're doing on the castle planner. So we're still 15 short on the stone. Let's go down to the trading post and make sure that we've got it set up to bring in enough. Yeah, I think we actually need to set that higher. Let's set that to 40. And once we've got that, we can look to start construction on the manor. Although we are coming into March, I think it'll be important to get it underway, because I think we've seen the need for some defensible structures. We've got the new residences all built down here, pretty much by the looks of things, apart from this one here. And again, as soon as we have people moving into these, we'll set them to work the granary and the storehouse, so that we have resources here. Let's also upgrade those. We might even be able to get that done before anyone moves in, and then they can start with a large granary and storehouse from the get-go. And come spring this year, we'll need to get a lot of people working in the forester's huts, because we will very quickly cleave through these trees here with the number of people we have logging at the moment. And we'll upgrade that house there, because a little bit of additional burgage plot income is always very welcome. Let's keep things moving along. I'm very anxious now. It was very, very calm before. We brushed off the first 2 attacks by the AI, no problem. But this time we got to see what they can do when they have a little bit of financial backing, and I've got to be honest, I didn't like what I saw. We will upgrade these to hitching posts, but there's no need for the moment, because we don't even have them occupied in single stalls. Again, we're going to need to get forestation going over here pretty quickly, but We just don't have the manpower available to us at the moment. We do have monthly migration, but that will take a little while just to fill up over here in New Boatlandia. It does feel like the war has definitely stalled us a little bit in getting this set up. But once a few more of these are occupied, speed should pick up on development. As for the capital, we're aiming for the same thing. How are we doing in terms of clothing? Let's have a look at our production. Let's go over to clothes. And let's go past that. Today we made 11 and we've used 7. Past 2 months we've made 80 and consumed 54, so hopefully at some point we start to get on top of that. Have we got spare yarn? No, we're turning all of our yarn and wool straight into clothes, so we are making use of it all. Let's get a worker down at this tavern and get an overstock going, so we can start to make people happy with ale, if not with clothing. We'll need a worker at the forager's hut now that it is summer, or now that it is spring rather, and the thaw has come. And let's get 4 families working at the forester's huts. And just double check if there's anything that needs doing in the farms. Looks like they got everything done for the winter up here. Let's check that's the case down here as well. No, they didn't, so we'll need to get some workers down here to get the farming completed. And we'll leave the other families to complete construction of the granary and storehouse as soon as possible. And it looks like something else we've upgraded has used up some of the rubble stone, so we're going to have to wait for some more of that to be imported before we can start construction of the manor. But that's not the end of the world, to be honest, because we do need to get the other projects completed and the food and the flax and all the other goods in the ground. Because without the farms, it doesn't matter if we've got a strong defendable manor, we're not going to have what we need to look after our people. We've paid our annual taxes. So again, if we had more money, I would start to consider rebuilding the retinue we lost all those months ago. But that money at the moment is still more useful to us as mercenary hiring money. We're nearly there. Oh, and good grief. It's never ending. 4 units of brigand outlaws have been spotted over the hills of Wildwand. And although there are 2 villages between us and them, this might actually be good for us. They might take out one of the AIs for us. I think it's prudent that we mobilise our military on the off chance that they get as far as our settlements. And we're going to deploy all our forces to the New Boatlandia end of Depart. So we'll raise all 5 of our banners and send them down on their way. And they're very nearly at full strength, missing just a couple of men. Looks like they were able to fill the ranks at the last minute. And we'll send them down to a defensible location. It looks like some of our neighbours have actually hired in. Okay, so they've hired in some militia for themselves. And they've also got their own domestic spear militia. I did not think they would have an entire unit of spear militia to themselves. These AI may look like they've got small settlements, but they do appear to know what they're about. We'll mobilise our forces just in case any of these brigands break through and decide that it would be better to burn some of our own villages rather than go for the AIs. We'll just check there aren't any down here. And wait for our own troops to rally. As we see a conflict unfolding up here. It looks like the spear militia has been rushed into combat without putting up a shield wall, without even grouping properly first. I think that's probably going to spell disaster for them. They may be superior troops, but they don't look to have gambesons or steel helmets, and they are significantly outnumbered. These poor little lads on their own there in the middle of those brigands, they were swiftly taken out. Well, life must go on. You can see the men of the capital gathering, should defence of the realms be necessary. And we'll spread out our troops in formation, ready to move if needed as the last couple of men arrive. And we'll keep an eye on these units here as well, because we've been turned on before. It looks like the last of their homegrown soldiers have been all but wiped out, and that will very quickly lead to pillaging. And there they go, setting out to burn one of our neighbouring villages, and it's a cold reminder of what's possible when you don't have the right defences in place. And just popping a couple of saves here and there, because I do know that burning buildings do tend to cause a little bit of lag. So we're going to leave Wield Wand to its fate, and we're going to head down to our own regions and we'll revisit them to see if they recover from what they're going through. For the time being though, we've got our own things to worry about. We've got construction going on down here in Deepart. With our men rallied here, see they're desperately trying to get their forces, but they're exhausted, they're tired, they've got to get all the way up there yet as well. And that's with the brigands already pillaging the homes of those they've been hired to defend. How are we doing here in the capital? Are we done with the lower fields? Nope, looks like we're still well underway with ploughing. And also with sowing and ploughing in this field, so we'll leave them to it. That's probably going to hamper construction over here. But at least we do have space for people to be moving in as and when migration allows them to do so. We're still a fair way off harvest in any case. And we're still obviously importing rubble stone. And we can see across the way, it looks like the other rulers' armies have been disbanded, which I would assume means that Wield Wand is burning. Yeah. Still a few fires going on here, but it does look like for the most part they've escaped the worst of it. The question is whether their storehouses and granaries were fired. That's a burgish plot. That could very well be a storehouse. And that's the granary. Okay, it's a large granary under construction. And I don't know where their storehouse is. That's over here, so that's actually survived. Well, it looks like they have survived the attack. The brigands have dispersed after having their fun. So, they may not be an immediate threat to us, but they've not been destroyed either. Disband our men, they can go back to their jobs. There's work to be done after all. And we can get back to watching construction continue in the height of summer. As we head into March, or the spring as it were. And then later on into March, we're going to need to get a family working here at the Forager's Hut. And we're really waiting now on immigration. And construction over here, so that we've got places for people to immigrate to. But we have now at least got the storehouse and the granary set up so that we can start to get some food into the marketplace. And we'll keep pushing on forwards. And as the lightning flashes, we're pushing on nicely with construction at New Boatlandia. Although I'm definitely left with the uneasy feeling that since that nightmare we experienced that fortunately didn't quite come true, we're never far away from calamity. So we've got 18 spears already, but I do think we want to be making small arms, so let's switch that over to small arm production. I imagine we don't have much iron, but we do have some left over, and we also want to be making small shields. So we've got an emergency force we can put together of 20 spearmen, but let's work on getting some small arms together so we can have some light infantry, militia footmen. We might also look at pole arms, but not for the time being. We're still a ways away from the harvest. We really could do with some spare workmen so we can get plantations going on. But at the moment, we just don't have the spare people. We do have a family moving in, which is brilliant. We want to keep that going. And keep getting these buildings put together. Look at that. New Boatlandia is really coming together now. Houses being completed left, right and centre. As soon as they're all completed, we're going to look to get them upgraded to multiple occupancy as soon as possible as well. And as people start moving in, we can start increasing production across the board. And how are we doing in terms of money? We're starting to bring in a nice amount, no doubt from the sale of our dressed stone. So let's get some cabbages in here. Carrots, beets, and this is going to be cabbages. And we'll hold off for a minute, but that extra money coming in from the dress stone should soon allow us to get our orchards planted. We're working nicely through our grain. We've made all the way through it actually. We've got plenty of flour, which is being baked into bread, hopefully. Having said that, let's check. Nope, we don't have anyone working at the Green 11, so we'll have to get someone working there. And now that we're well up on fuel supply, let's ease off and reduce the number of woodcutters we have. And we can start turning all that spare firewood we have into charcoal instead. And that'll free up some of the workforce. And that's going to enable us to get some workers in the fishermen's huts, which we're going to need as well. And we have some new families settling. And we've got properties ready for upgrading, so actually we might do that before we double the dwelling space. This upgrade will bring us some money. And looks like they just dropped out there, but hopefully they'll be back soon, wanting an upgrade. Let's get an ox ordered for this stable here. Over in the capital, we're pretty much there. 79 days left before everything is fully grown. Have we made our way through all of our grain up here? Yes, we have. So we don't need anyone working up there. The first of our properties ready for upgrading down here. Let's assign your workplace first. You're going to be working at the granary. And then we'll work to upgrade your burgage plot. And then we have the next person settling down here. We'll get them working at the storehouse for us. And hopefully our foresters are doing a good job. It looks like they are, with planting out new trees to replace those that are being chopped down. How are we doing for rubblestone? Pretty good. We might even be able to commit to the construction of Manor Colliding. Looks like we might have a wall somewhere. This one here, presumably. Let's bring this in slightly. Looks like we're having a bit of a funky issue with this tower. Let's just get rid of it for the time being and connect that back up onto the wall here. And then we can commit to that. So construction of the manor has started. We'll leave that at the lowest priority because we do need our residents working on other areas of construction that are slightly more pressing. But we're done here, so we can free up those workers from that farmhouse, which is going to give us plenty more available for construction. And that might even allow us to get on with construction of the manor here pretty quickly. And we've had an additional settler here. So let's set you to work at the storehouse, and then we'll set your house to be upgraded. We've got some upgrades going on down in New Boatlandia as well. And we'll set that for upgrading while we have the space. And finally we're growing a little bit more of a population down here. So now we have a few more families here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to unassign the mining pit. Get some more families, and I'm hoping... Yep, they're going to be assigned from more local properties. So now we have people working at the iron mines are coming from New Boatlandia, which I imagine is going to significantly decrease the amount of time people are spending walking. And build a road across there so that it's slightly quicker to gain access to it from New Boatlandia. And how are we doing for sidearms? We've got 12 sidearms, 51 small shields. So let's go ahead and raise our first unit of footmen down here in D part, and they'll continue to grow as and when weapons sidearms become available. I imagine the bottleneck now is iron slabs. So what we're going to do is we're going to demolish this bloomery, and we're going to build a new one down over in D part in New Boatlandia. And we're actually going to put these on the road here. We'll put down 2, but we'll prioritise this one here. And then hopefully by the time that's constructed, we'll have a few more residences over here. Residing in these residences. Residents residing in residencies. And we'll be able to get the bloomery working down here a little bit more locally to where the iron ore is being produced and hopefully stored here in the storehouse, and that's going to cut down on production time for small arms. And before long we'll want to get workers at this mining pit so we can start producing clay and clay roof tiles, which is going to be necessary for getting our churches upgraded. We've got a raft of properties down here ready for upgrading, so we'll assign all these upgrades. Splendid, splendid, splendid. Still got a month until we're at the point of opening the farms. Let's get a couple of workers at the foresters' huts. Now we have a little bit of spare labour available to us. And it wouldn't hurt as well to get another family working the fishermen's huts. Have we worked our way through all of our grain? Yep, so we don't need anyone working the mill. And how are we doing for production of dressed stone? We've only got 1 rough stone. And as for dressed stone, we've got 143. Have we got a bit of a bottleneck here? Let's look at people. Yes, I suspect they're doing something other than supplying for export, because we should be exporting dressed stone over 50. We've got 145. Let's get an additional family working here. And we really need to get a horse. So let's order a horse. And we'll need to get more of those as we can as well to up our ability to export. And we've got more people moving in down here, so let's upgrade that. And we'll hold off assigning anyone else from here until we've got the bloom reconstructed, because that's really where we want to have the next families working. Over in the capital, you can see materials are starting to arrive for construction of the fortified manor building. And we are closing in on harvest time very quickly though. Let's get an upgrade down here. And again, as we start to get more families moving in this area, we'll start to reassign some of the families here. And we'll get that miners upgraded. Actually producing a little bit of salt. Okay. Well, seeing as salt is currently working, let's assign some of our miners' huts to do some mining. So those three already are. So let's set everyone here with mining pits. And we may then have to make sure we've got workers at the various granaries and storehouses. We still have families working there. And still have families working here. Okay, so that's fine. And all this available labour can work on the manor right up until the moment that we need to pull everyone off to work on the harvest in just 20 days' time. And we're getting quite full on logs here. But that's where we need to store them. Let's fly over the stone pits. Got more people moving in down here. Let's get a couple of workers at this bloomery and check that everyone working here is local. Yes, they are. And let's start upgrading some of these dwellings to multiple occupancy. We'll do all the ones on the flat sides of Deep Hearts, New Boatlandia, as a starting point. And we're continuing to equip our soldiers, or at least we will just as soon as we have more iron being smelted. How are we doing for gambesons? Yeah, we're starting to roll them out across our military. Just 10 days left to work on construction projects before we need to conscript everyone for the harvests. And what we're going to do as well is, for pastime, we set up an additional farm so we can hire in more people to work the additional fields we've had set up here for quite some time now. So we're 32% of the way there on construction for the manor already, which I'm quite happy about actually. And the harvest season has started. Let's start by filling up that down there, and then let's free up some people from the logging camps and get them working the farm up here. And then the few spare workers we have will assign to work at this farm. So that's the capital pretty much taken care of straight away. And then down in Deep Heart, we need to strip people from every profession. I'm going to leave the foresters because we're desperate to get some forestation done though. So that leaves our fishermen, which doesn't seem wise because they're producing food, but there we are. And then where else can we have some workmen from? Not the smithy. Possibly the logging camp. Potentially the stonemason station. How are we doing for dress stone versus rough stone? So we're definitely taking care of all the rough stone sent to dress, so we'll free up one person. And that puts the farmhouse at 7. I think they're just going to have to cope with that. There's still plenty of flour, I'd imagine it needs turning into bread. Yeah, so we don't want to be taking anyone from the communal oven. So hopefully they'll get everything they need to done with 7 workers instead of 8. Now we can see the harvest starting to pull in as the rains start to pour down typically. Haven't quite got enough to start planting up our fields. Oh, I haven't said that. Okay, let's get some quinces planted in the first burgers plot. We've got to start somewhere. And we'll continue to upgrade properties as we can here as well, as people move in. We may need to get an additional granary worker, because I imagine they're spending all their time getting together goods that they need for New Boatlandia. It's probably hard times over here at the moment for anyone who's just moved in. And just as soon as we have someone else move in, we'll get someone to work additionally at the granary. And we should be up and running with production of iron now. Yeah, we're producing iron slabs. And that in turn should be producing small arms. We are back producing those, so that's positive. Soon we will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 banners at our command. Not if they're needed, but when, I'm sure, as the case will be. Depart. Storage is full. I don't think it is. I think that might have been a lie. Got a couple of houses down here ready for upgrading, so we'll set those for that task. Not much movement on the manor, but that's understandable because everyone is out working in the fields at the moment. Every man that can be spared. Regional wealth's looking pretty good here at the capital, and that's because the salt mines have miraculously started working again, or at least they did temporarily. We'll have to wait and see if that holds. We've got quite a lot of sheep breeding. We actually had a spare item of clothing there for a minute. We've actually got 53 wool, so we're slightly ahead on wool production compared to turning it into yarn. So we may need to get an additional worker at the weaver's workshop, so we'll assign that one there, because actually there's still flax to work through as well. We may even need to build a second weaver's workshop. So let's do that, so we've got it ready. And we will build that down here near our new residential quarter. And we've still got plenty of space for people to move into, even before we start considering expanding the living space on these properties that we built here. And already the year is coming to a close, and we're a year on now from the disastrous nightmares that enveloped Depart. We've been given another increase in royal tax, so that we don't forget how lucky we are to be alive, I suppose. We've got upgrades down here. It's really encouraging to see New Boatlandia rise from the ground, and from its fiery, ash-laden start. Before we'd even constructed the first buildings here, the first couple of buildings went together and they were burned back down to the foundations within weeks of being constructed. And that goes to show how fragile and defenseless these realms can be. Are we done at the farmhouse? No, we're still ploughing by hand, but it looks like we're most of the way there at least. And we're looking nice and stable on food and fuel. The other bloomery has been constructed, but we're producing plenty of iron now I suspect we're much more efficient now we're positioned all the way over here. And you can see we're up to 30 iron slabs. We've got hide that can be turned into leather, so we're going to need to get a tannery set up sooner rather than later as well. And let's build a road across here on the outskirts of Boatlandia. We'll go one way to start with, and we'll connect this back down to the river road, and that'll give us some space to build some industrial buildings. So we'll get a tannery down, and we'll get a clay furnace down as well, ready for when we start extracting clay from the ground. Let's get an additional worker at the granary and at the storehouse to help support the growing population that we have here. And as winter sets in, you'll probably find that we're done for the time being from turning stuff into grain. So we'll unassign families from the farmhouse, and we'll get them back on the jobs that we stripped them from. We can take off the foresters for the time being as well. Obviously we can't get back into the fish huts. We've got a family working the communal oven there. We've got 2 families now working here. You can see the huge difference it's made to regional wealth. We'll get another horse ordered as well. And with that money, let's get some pears and apples planted. And there goes all that money. Let's get a few more workers at the quarry and the stonemason station we have operation as well, so we can start producing more for export. Over in the capital, let's empty out our farmhouses here too. And that's going to free them up for hopefully construction this year on the manor. Let's get some workers in the windmill. Got a couple of properties down here ready to be upgraded, so we'll make sure that happens nice and swiftly. And regional wealth's looking pretty good, so we've sold quite a lot of shields, and we've been making money from salt, not loads recently. We make money from flour, I suppose, and on the war bows as well. But soon it would be nice as well. In fact, we could probably even do it. We have 2 families in each of those. It might be better to do it with some of our single residencies. Set some of these up. We'll take this one and make you into an additional joiner shop so we can start to make gears that we can sell. And down here, let's start to get some animal pens set up. And we'll also throw in a few chickens as well. So that we're not wasting the space we have at the back. We're getting there with clothes. These properties all have beverage supply. Actually, the upgraded church that we're missing out on the most. So we have dressed stone available just over the border. And we need a little bit of mortar and a little bit of dressed stone. So we can produce the mortar domestically. So let's go ahead and get a lime kiln built. And we'll do that somewhere out of the way, like here. And we're also going to want to build a pack station that we can use for trading with our neighbour. Build that here. And we're also going to build one down here in Deep Heart. And we're a little shy on money, so we're not going to worry about signing extensions down here for the moment. When we do assign extensions, we'll probably make a priority of those over here in the spiritual successor to Boatlandia. As you see, construction projects finished across the board. That joiner shop's been constructed. Let's get them making wooden parts. And let's go over to our trading post. And let's open up trade on wooden parts. We're going to export those. And we'll export everything over 10. And with that wooden parts production, we want to make sure that we're only producing when we're over a certain limit. That is, if we can find where we built that additional joint. It was down here, wasn't it? So we need a surplus of 200 planks to consider making wooden parts for sale. And that's the pack station constructed. So we'll order in a mule and get a family working here. And we're going to be bartering with Depart. And we'll send charcoal. And we will be receiving, for the moment, dressed stone. And we're going to set the same trade up, but from the other end here. It's going to be a day or two till we can order in a mule. In the meantime, we can set up the bartering, so we're going to be receiving charcoal and we're going to be sending dressed stone. And we'll order in a mule for them as well. And hopefully before long that will give us everything we need here in the capital to upgrade our church. And we want to have 20 mortar at any given time. Don't think we need much more than that for upgrading the church. It's 10, so that'll be absolutely fine. And we've got dressed stone on the way via our barter connection. And we're already 50% of the way there on construction of the manor. So we'll keep time flowing along at a fast pace. Yeah, and don't worry, we have mules on the way. And we've got some coal in Depart. And where is that? It's down here. So what are you lacking? You've got fuel. Garments, I presume. Don't have good access to garments. Well, we are constructing a tannery. Let's get a worker in there so that we can start to produce leather. And that leather we can use to make boots. And probably also signals now we've got a bit of money coming in that we need to get a livestock trader with the aim of getting a sheep farm set up. So let's get a livestock trading post and we'll pop that down here. And then we'll also build a sheep farm, which we'll pop down just here. And we'll start to build up this little industrial quarter on the side of Boatlandia as we continue to migrate some of our production over here from the initial heart of the settlement. Somehow, they still have decent church access. It must be more or less universal across each region. But I still think it'd be nice to have their own church located in the centre here. So we'll continue on with that plan. And we'll hold off spending much more money for the moment, just so we've got some finances available to buy in some sheep. With sheep in mind, we're going to need some pasture space. So why not fill in this space here. So let's start here, see how far we can work our way around. Looks pretty good. And that gives us space for 60. So we'll build that pasture space there. Good. Okay. Progress at last. And how have we got on? Good, we've nearly finished equipping our first unit of militia here as well. And as soon as we have them equipped, I'm going to want to open up another unit as well. So in fact, we're going to do that straight away. No, we can't. We reached our limit. So it looks like we're just going to have the one unit down in Deep Heart, which means that we're definitely going to want to get on and have a militia, retinue available. Let's go to advanced and set a sidearm production limit of 64. So we don't use up all our iron. Well, that shouldn't be a problem long term because we have a very large deposit over here. And I presume we have sort of plenty of iron ore, so it's not a bottleneck at the moment for us. We don't need anyone else working at that mine or indeed making more mines. Let's get a worker at the livestock trading post. And we want to import, start with 10 sheep. And let's make priority the sheep farm so we can get that constructed, so we've got someone to look after the sheep once they get here. And of course, once we have wool being produced, we're going to need a weaver's workshop to turn that wool into some yarn. And then we'll need to have a tailor set up as well, so that we can turn that into garments. And I'm actually thinking we might put a house down here with an extension. We might even need to build a little road here and build the house along here. To make sure we've got space. What's getting in the way there? Let's turn snapping back on just for those first couple of points. Lovely. And this is going to give us space to, we want to get this marker just in the right location. And that's going to give us space to put a house who is going to be dedicated to tailor's shop, so we can start producing clothing. Because we don't want to be assigning any of these areas here for that purpose, because we'd lose too many workers. And our supply looking here. Okay, not brilliant, but okay. The church is going up now though, which is nice. And already we are into March. Let's go work at the sheep farm. As hopefully we get some sheep coming in. And were we done in the fields? No, we weren't. Let's assign some workers down here so they can help in the fields. So it looks like we still have an entire field to prep down here. And let's make sure that we were done over here as well. Yeah, we're okay with that farm. How about the farm up here? We were all good there as well, so nothing to worry about for the moment. Got plenty of houses ready for upgrading in the new residential area, and we're starting to lack a little bit of space, so let's build a few more extensions here and order in a variety of animals to fill them. And then let's get these burgage plots upgraded with additional dwelling space inside. And we'll do that for everything here to make sure that we've plenty of spaces for people to move in. And how are we doing with construction of the manor? 82%, so the walls have started going up and the gatehouse has been constructed. So we're well on our way to having a defensible position. Down in Deep Heart, it would be nice to get some additional workers at the quarries, but we are pretty short on labour still on the whole, despite having had a lot of immigration. And we're still working on the farms. And with construction here going nicely, our first sheep arriving as well. Let's not worry about this too much. Let's get the additional space in there, but it's going to be a little while before we can assign that as a weaver's workshop. Now, I feel like this road should connect to something. Let's bring it down and cross over here and connect into this road. I've seen better bridges. That's not our finest work. Well, I guess you get your feet wet if you're arriving in Boatlandia. Church stands proud and constructed. And it'd be good to get some clay and turn it into roof tiles so we can construct our advanced church, but we don't have the workforce at the moment. Looks like we're done getting everything into the ground here though, so we can free up some bodies for construction elsewhere as the weather really starts to press in on us. So in fact we might as well open up production at the mining pit and the clay furnace while we have people available to do so. We've got our first bit of wool as well, so we'll open up the weaver's workshop to people as well. And we've still got 12 spaces for people to move in. Right. And we've had someone claim the capital. It's those in Wildwand who were recently attacked. We've learnt our lesson. We're going to start, before we pose this claim, by hiring in some mercenaries. They're very expensive. I'm not paying 250 a month for crossbowmen. I will, however, take the Wayward Sons. So we're going to sign that contract, and we're going to fight this battle. And the battle is going to take place over there. And they have got... those are our archers directly behind them, which is great. And they've got their crossbowmen here, and presumably there'll be some thugs appearing from somewhere as well. So, we're going to start by rallying our forces. We've got our new unit in Boatlandia. And we've our home guard here. Oh dear, that was an accident. Let's get them back. We've got our archers. And that's quite the force. Hopefully we'll wipe out these crossbowmen with minimal casualties with our superior force. We'll station our unit of sword here in Deeplandia because we have brigands coming in from this direction. Okay, let's take up position over here actually, and we're going to position our archers. We're going to shoot at will to slaughter anyone that comes our way, and we'll continue to move our men into position here because we know that if they're not up to war, they are not below burning the local villages, and we certainly don't want to have to be dealing with that. In the meantime, we continue to have plenty of space for people to move in. We've got the manor completed. Look at that. Finally we have a defensible structure. And actually we have been claimed. the battle is taking place far away from our manor. We're going to open fire on those filthy units. We're going to array our spears in 3 shield walls. And we're going to set these guys on missile alert. They're going to shoot at will, and we're going to spread them out behind here. And then we're going to push forward to this ridgeline and take advantage of the terrain as it drops off a bit of a cliff there. And we'll set these archers to make swift work of these thugs. And we have our sword here holding position should they be needed. And here we have our... Where are the enemy? They can't be seen. We're going to have to pull back here. We're taking losses. Disband the shield walls. Charge their position. We've lost quite a few men to those crossbowmen. We're going to charge in with our spears. Yeah, go away. Redeploy our spears here to take care of the archers coming in from that flank. It looks like we've already broken that division there. Bring our men back up the hill. And we'll take up a position against these and make sure we're engaging them with our archers. Looks like we've taken care of the brigands over here. So we'll push these archers down towards our infantry. And we'll start advancing with our spears. We'll bring ours up here in reserve. And we'll continue to harry with our archers. We've lost quite a few men in that division. And we've broken the enemy. Okay. Let's reform over here. And we're going to need to get a family working at the church because we've lost some of our own men. Don't see any more forces. It doesn't look like Wildwand had their domestic force. It looks like they've recovered from that attack they had previously. They've rebuilt everything by the looks. But they hadn't reformed. They probably don't have enough men to reform their own local band of militia. And no one's moved in here yet, so we can't get the weavers operational. But as for the others, hopefully we'll be able to start producing some clothing, or some yarn at least. Yeah, we've got a couple of yarn coming in from the wool we're producing. We've got some leather. So we'll want to set up one of these down here as a shoemaker. So we'll set that to be you. And we're going to disband this unit of archers. And then we're going to rally them with fresh numbers. Unfortunately, we did lose quite a few men there. It would be really good to get them kitted up with some gambesons and some steel helmets, but it's going to be a little while before we get there. And we're full on our pasture space. How are we doing at the sheep farm? Let's get a third worker at the sheep farm. And how are we doing for production of wool? Got a fair bit of wool. So let's build another pasture and we'll put that down here this time. So we'll pop that there, so we've got plenty of space for our growing sheep population. I don't see any mercenaries on the horizon. There aren't any available at the moment though. It's middle of the month, so it's quite possible that they will hire in more before this is over. So we'll form up these units at the centre of Deep Heart over here. And we've got our units recovering over here. Come out of the shield wall configuration so we can let that archer through. It's tempting to garrison our men up in the manor, but they're not actually coming for the manor, they're heading down for the battleground down here. It would be interesting to see that if we were to garrison some men here, if the enemy would come for them or not. Because as advantageous as this position is for holding in a siege or something, it doesn't allow us to protect the village itself. Talking of the village, have we got enough dressed stone that we can upgrade our church? Nope, not quite enough yet. Do we have any here in the capital? Yeah, we've got 18. We're actually only 2 away from having enough. And still 100 days away from the harvest. We have our militia arriving down here. And as we gather some additional spare workmen, and we did respond to that, we're going to get a manor constructed down here in Deep Heart. Let's just check the facilities. We've got rye here, barley potentially down there and there. Okay. We're going to put our manor right here with a garrison tower next to it. And we'll construct a fort across here to control the end of Deep Heart, which is more or less the centre of this region here. So hopefully that will give us some good defensible positions for all 3 of these regions. But for now, we wait to see what comes of the current conflict. We'll speed time along. Hopefully they don't... we do also need to open up the orbital spit here as well. Hopefully they don't hire in additional mercenaries and we don't have to spill any more of our own blood to defend what's rightfully ours. So both got 0 on anti-armour, so 2 on attack for footman, and 1 on attack for spear, 3 armour, 5 armour, so the spears are much better armoured, charge is the same, impaling 10 for the spear, and 8 for the shields. So the shields are much better of a holding position, the spear militia, and the footmen are slightly better on the offensive. I wonder what the difference is for polemen. Maybe we'll look to swap out one of our spear for pole eventually in the capital. No sign yet of additional enemy forces. We're currently winning the conflict, so there's nothing to worry about there. See some of our new dwellings down here, they've lost family in the conflict. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do to ease their burdens. Hopefully we'll be on top of the clothing situation before too long. We've actually got Well, one wall, 8 yards, so we are controlling... everything we can is turning into clothes. Rather worried that the month just turned over and a bunch of units have popped up. Alright, so what do we have down here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. All approaching from the same direction. Hopefully that's it. Right. That's not good. Okay. How are we going to set about this? We probably need to make a defence on this slope here. I'm going to pull these units back. I'm going to pull these units forward. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 unit of infantry, 1 unit of archer, 2 spear, 2 sword. I wonder if we can convince them to give up the battle. Let's open communications. Send that letter. And peace declared. Hopefully they disappear. Good. One of these days, they're not going to go away for nothing. Let's disband that unit. And let's also disband our other forces. So long as we can get them to go away for nothing, then we'll continue to do so. And I don't think, maybe we didn't order a mule. Maybe we did, but we just need, you can get more than one. We'll order another one. But are we there with our dressed stone? We cycle round to the capital. Here we are. We are at 20 dressed stone. Let's upgrade the church. And we've got people working on burying the dead. Got a spare workforce, so let's get them working in these foresters' huts to ensure that we have enough timber for future production needs. And we're still working on building the military back up after the setback we suffered there in terms of losses of number. And actually we're gaining experience from these troops, which I didn't realise was something that you could do. I mean, that might be new. I mean, they're surrounded by trees, giving them a -10, but they should all be home by now. But they get rally improved stats from being in the home region, and they've got experience. That's good, and we can start to see we are equipping people with gambesons as well. Before long, I'll want to be sending over steel helms from Deep Heart once we've equipped our domestic forces here with those helms. But we're still a little short on labour down here, so it might be a minute until we get to that stage. And have we produced any mortar? We haven't, so let's get to producing some mortar. Have we already set up a building for this? I don't think we've got a lime kiln down in Deep Heart. So let's get one of those placed down as soon as possible. We'll pop that one there. Let's get someone going fishing. And we're okay otherwise for production at least. We've got plenty of dressed stone, so we're still working on exporting that. And if we go over to our trading post, we've got some sat around here. Let's order up another horse. That's probably holding us back, I would have thought. And how are people's needs over here tended to? Do more fish meats. And more produce. Okay. That's telling me For starters, we're not producing enough variety. And secondly, we need to get some of these extensions built. So let's go ahead and get a bunch of animal pens constructed. And we can use those to start producing meat, which will make up for the shortfall we're currently having with the production of fish, because we don't have enough families available. People are generally improving in their mood, but it's still going to take a minute before we get to a point where we've got migration to above one family per month. So that is still going to be a limiting factor for us. Okay, let's get all of those set up and going. Where are we at in terms of iron? We've got 134 iron slabs. So I would like as soon as possible. And we're still... the claim for the region is still going on despite the fact that we've settled. But we're still winning. So I guess it's not too much of a problem. Let's go ahead and make sure we've got boot production down here, so that's perfect. Let's open up a armourer's workshop so we can start producing iron helms, first for our troops in this region and then for troops in the others by sending it over by barter pack. And there we go. The small church has been constructed in the capital. Others strain towards the brilliant jewel that is the capital in the deep hearts of our lands. It's no wonder that it is an object of jealousy. It stands far and above any of our rivals' puny settlements. But with that prowess does come a certain danger. Looks like we might need to get some additional space set up. All the stables full? They are, yes. Okay, that's probably for the additional horse. Let's get some additional pack stations set up. Got some space here. So we'll build those. And hopefully before too long we'll start to see people ready to upgrade. I fear though that we've still got a bit of a limiting factor in terms of clothing. We're producing quite a lot of wool, we're producing quite a lot of yarn from that. Maybe it's time we opened up a second tailor shop. So we'll pop that one there next to the joinery. I imagine a fair bit of our regional wealth is coming from the sale of those wooden parts as well. We really are cleaving into the forest over here, but we are also planting it back up nicely, so I'm not too concerned about that right at the moment. Still 50 days left to go toward the harvest. And we're 25% of the way to getting the manor built over here. We're definitely still a little lacking in terms of labour. Let's go half and half on goats and pigs within Boatlandia. So we'll have some of each, and that will hopefully produce us a good number of hides, as well as producing us a decent amount of pork as well. So that'll be goat, so that's pig, goat, and then pig. And we've still got 9 spaces for people to move in, so we don't need to worry about building the extensions just yet. We've had some move in here, so we built this specifically to be somewhere where we can build, or craft rather, or sew garments, so we do need to get that up to level 2. That's meat, fishes and animal produce we're currently lacking there. We've got a couple here we can upgrade to level 2, so we'll get those going. And waiting for construction to be completed there. We seem to have a spare family, so let's get them working at the fisherman hut so we can increase our chances of getting enough fish onto the market for people's likings and hankerings. And hopefully before too long, those will be up and running and we'll have fruit production as well. And there we go. Let's get that upgraded and then we can specialise that. We are going to lose a worker, but again, we're hopefully at this rate having families settle fairly often. We've got 2 monthly migration actually, so that's going to be a huge benefit to us in terms of making sure we've got enough people to fulfill everything that we need doing. Let's take a look at production in the capital. So let's go over to records and go to resources. How are we doing for clothing? So past 30 days, we've made 25, consumed 16. Last 12 months, we've made 194. But we are definitely using it as quickly as we're making it, unfortunately. For the first time, we do appear to have a small surplus there. So what's holding us back from upgrading? Apparently, it is garments that we're still lacking over here. We've got plenty of shoes available on the open market. And beverages, are we out of ale? Yes, we are. So we're going to have to wait for the next harvest. Obviously, we're not producing enough domestically, so that may be something we need to start buying in. So let's go to our trading post. And we want to start buying in what's cheaper. So barley is 13. Buying in malt. It's only 14, only one more expensive. Ale is 16. Well, barley's the cheapest. So it's barley that we will import. We want a desired surplus of 30, let's say. And peace is declared once again, and I'm sure that'll last all of about 5 minutes. Keep upgrading houses as and where we can. Still a little way till we need to worry about expanding living space, but I think we'll start taking care of it anyway. I mean, it's just the ones in the corners we can still upgrade, but that's fine. Don't need to open the second bloomery yet. We need construction of this burger spot to complete before we can start producing clothes, and we've got 21 yarn ready to help with production of that once it comes up. And we've got a sheep there, so we're producing wool at a steady rate as well. We've constructed or are constructing a lime kiln, and that will enable us to get to where we need to be. We've already got the roof tiles, we just need to get that lime together to make mortar, and with that mortar we can construct our church. So we're heading in the right direction, and with just 24 days to go for the harvest, we're heading on up. That's all we have time for today, friends. I hope that you found this as relaxing to watch as I found it to make. I would love to hear any suggestions you have for these or other videos. Comment below, I'll read it and respond. And if you enjoyed the video, then why not like and subscribe? If you're still in the mood to chill, join me in another video. As always, know you're appreciated. Until next time, cheerio.